Hey, Disney cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL community where we are here to help you plan, prepare for, and get excited for your Disney cruise. You guys know me. I'm Rebecca, your host and admin of the DCL community. And today I'm so excited because we are doing such a great comparison today. We are comparing sailing with Disney on the ocean versus sailing with Disney on rivers. So as you're coming in, please say hello. Let us know where you're watching from so that we can say hi. And let us know if you've cruised with Disney Cruise Line or cruised with Disney on a river cruise before, or if you're thinking about it. And as people are coming in, Laura, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Greco. I'm with Fairy Tale Journeys Travel, and I'm so excited to compare river cruising with ocean cruising because they are a little bit different. For those of you who've done it, I'm sure you've noticed the difference. They're not bad differences, they're just differences. And if you've never done it before and you're considering a river cruise with Adventures by Disney, there are some differences you'd like to know about. So if you have any questions, start to fire them in the comments and we'll get to them.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely put those comments or those questions in the comments for us so that we can be sure to answer as many as we can. And if you want to start planning your Disney vacation, whether it's the parks, the cruise lines, Adventures by Disney, no matter what it is, reach out to Laura. She's here to help be that resource, and her planning services are totally free for you to utilize. As we're going through, Laura just got back from a river cruise with Disney. So this is all very fresh. And she, of course, has been sailing with Disney across the fleet. So she's got a ton of experience here. So put your questions in the comments and we will do our best to get to all of them. But I guess let's go ahead and start like top level. Are these booked the same way? Is it the same company or is it just Disney's the parent company? How does this all happen?
So it's booked the same way. It can't be booked online. First of all, Adventures by Disney have to be called in. So it's always great to have a travel agent help you with this because it is Adventures by Disney is a totally different product. So they do small group tours. They could do private tours. You have family
Ooh,
and adult only. They do land and they do river and they even do um, expedition cruises as well. So they have a grand variety and they just partnered with Nat Geo too. So we can do National Geographic, which gives you a totally different experience on the river because, they're all about nature and photography. So that's a totally different dive into the same kind of adventure that Adventures by Disney would take you on, but it's a whole different beast because it's National Geographic. So they are a different
yeah.
product. But it is part of Disney because it's an adventure by Disney. So
I
there's a
love
lot to
that.
choose from, put it that way.
And is there a big difference between what's offered on a Disney cruise versus what's offered on a river cruise?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, the main difference between a river cruise and an ocean cruise are it's mainly the inclusions. When you go on an ocean cruise, usually the ship itself is part of the destination, right? You're looking at a ship, it's got
Yeah.
XYZ and the amenities, and it's part of your vacation. Not to say that the river cruise, it's not, but really, when you're on a river cruise, your destinations are really your main focal point, and the ship is where you unpack and sail to these different cities to visit them. So when you book a river cruise, all of those port adventures and excursions, those costs are built in to that cruise price. Um, so they're kind of predetermined. You'll have a choice of A, B in the morning, A, B in the afternoon. Um, Sometimes there's an option C. It really depends on what city you're going to and what country, but they're included in the price. Um, and the ship is
Got
really
it.
where you sleep. So it doesn't do what the ocean cruises do in terms of the ship has all of these different entertainment venues and different bars. It's a much different experience.
Got it. Okay. So on the Disney cruise, you're having to pay extra for your excursions or port adventures. Is there anything else that's not included? It sounds like maybe some of the food or
So on a ocean cruise, all of your food is included, all of your non-alcohol, well, We're going to talk Disney Cruise versus Adventures by Disney River Cruise. We're just going to compare Disney and Disney.
Okay.
So on a Disney cruise, your non-alcoholic, your sodas are at those soda stations, drink them all day long if you want. And then you pay for every drink, including alcoholic beverages at dinner. Let's compare that on a river cruise. On a river cruise, you can get your sodas and basic beverages, but at your meals, you could get wine and beer at dinner. It's included at dinner.
Oh,
But during the
okay.
day, if you want to drink at the bar, there's one bar. If you want to drink at the bar, if you're not out and about on your excursion and you come back, you would have to pay for a drink at the bar. Our bar bill was $100. That was my bill when I came back. It was like
Oh,
four
yeah,
bucks a
not bad
drink.
at all. Yeah.
So
Wow.
totally
Oh, so
different.
good. Oh, wow.
Um,
And what about gratuities? Are gratuities going to be extra like they are on a Disney cruise?
Included on a river cruise, included on a river cruise, and that included the gratuity for our 5 adventure guides, because you get 5
Oh,
adventure guides, plus when you're in the different stops in the ports, you get local guides that accompany your adventure guides to give you that local tour. Um, the gratuities are all included for that in your restaurants as well. Um, Whereas on Disney Cruise Line, you have to pay for your gratuities.
got it. Okay. So there are
A river,
definitely some pluses.
there's there's some pluses. Um, so yes, that's all included in the river cruise.
Awesome. And where do the river cruises go versus I'm right. I know Disney Cruise Line can take you all over the place in the ocean, but where can I actually take a Disney river cruise?
So there's 3 rivers currently. You can do the
Okay.
Rhine, that's the one I did. You could do the Seine, which if you were watching the Paris Olympics, you saw that every day, the Seine River, or you could do the Danube. Those are the 3 rivers that Disney Cruise Line will take you on. Or not Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney will take you on those 3 rivers. You could also do those 3 areas by land as land tours, but I think you'd want to
Wow.
do those
Okay. So you
rivers.
could
I
even
mean, you see
potentially do
so much.
those like land and
They do the land
oh, I
tours,
love that because you
but you're
actually get to like enjoy.
it was so different. I mean, we did the Adventures by Disneyland tour of Sicily, and we started in Palermo and we ended in Taormina, and we stayed at 4 different hotels, and only twice did we stay overnight more than once in one hotel. So it's a lot of packing and unpacking and getting on a bus. With the river cruise, we unpacked in Switzerland and we packed when we got to Amsterdam. So that was, I have to say, that was lovely to not have to
That
keep
is
packing every night.
yes, the packing and unpacking is one of my least favorite parts. I will not admit to the internet that I may or may not still have a suitcase on my floor from my cruise that was a month ago. I'm not gonna own that. But
I'm sure
I
you're not alone
love
in
the
that.
seamlessness. Not one of my better qualities, but it's fine. And I do have to ask, and for everybody who's watching, we have a bunch of pictures that Laura took that kind of compare some of these spaces. So I'm going to get these pulled up. But I am curious, as an avid Disney cruiser, what's
Mhm,
your opinion on the Adventures by Disney River? Yes, as an avid Disney cruiser, what's your opinion on the
mhm.
river cruising? Having done it, would you recommend to Disney cruisers?
I would absolutely recommend it. That is the main dining room. So that's looking down the starboard side. It looks the same on the port side, and it kind of wraps around the back. So they're very small. These ships hold 125 guests.
Oh,
So
wow.
it is very, I made a lot of friends. You see the same faces. It's quaint. It's not the runaround crowds. Um, I happen to really enjoy it. There were things that I missed, and I'll go over that. I mean, if you're used to ocean cruising, there are some things you have to get used to going on the river cruises. I love the that it was all inclusive. Um, you get used to certain things on a Disney cruise, so coming over to the river cruise, there were some things that kind of was like, "Whoa." Yeah, we didn't have the same servers every night. You didn't have an assigned table, so it was like first come, first serve. We sat at a different table every night. We had a different server every night. And that wasn't a
Yeah.
bad thing. I mean, the whole crew was amazing. It wasn't a negative experience. It was just different. Sometimes we sat with different friends, sometimes we sat alone. Um, it was just different. It's smaller. It's 3 decks big. You kinda know everybody by day 3. Um, we weren't on
Yeah.
an adult-only cruise, so there were families. By now, everybody knows who I sailed with if you follow my social media. We were with Alfonso.
Yes.
If you were following Adventures by Disney social media, you know we were with Alfonso Ribeiro and his family. Um, he was on
I
board. It
feel
was
the
the
need to do
last.
the
Yes,
dance.
the Carlton dance.
The
Um,
yes.
so it was a very exciting sailing. It was the last Rhine of the season. I think next
Okay,
up
they're
for them
seasonal.
is well, the Rhine is kind of seasonal now. It will move to Food and Wine and then the Christmas market. So they were
Got
going
it.
on a break. As a matter of fact, the last stop in Amsterdam, the boat docks, and you're there for 1 day, and then you sleep there, and then you disembark the next day. So the captain is done. So that morning that we woke up after he docked, he was in street clothes. He was like done because he was going on vacation
Wow.
now because his season was done with Adventures by Disney. And they had like
Wow.
6 weeks before they had to be back. And we were like, "Hey, Captain Hank, you look comfortable." And he was there, but he wasn't in uniform anymore. So it's kind of cool.
Wow. And somebody's asking, does Disney actually own the ships?
They are owned by AMA Waterways. So Disney Adventures by Disney partnered with AMA Waterways, and they retrofitted 2 of their ships um, with Disney, and those are the 2 ships Disney will use. They don't have characters. It's Adventures by Disney, so it carries the Disney name, meaning it has the Disney service and those expectations, but it's not Mickey. You don't have the characters. It's just the standard, the service, and the Disney difference. So you won't, there's
Got
no
it.
Disney
Okay.
horns. It's just service.
Yes, yeah, it's about the Disney quality of experience. It's more about immersing. There we go. Immersing yourself in the culture of a place rather
Exactly.
than, just Disney, but at sea. And speaking of at sea, someone's asking, how are the waters? Are they as bad? Wondering about cruising this time of year. So, what did you
There
think about
was
the river
no
cruise?
movement. No
Um,
movement. The river is like there was no movement. The only time we ever felt any kind of movement was if there was a ship docking next to us, and that was because the ship literally let me tell you, if there is a lot of us porting, if you're against the dock, another river cruise bumps up against you, and they come through your lobby. So, to come to shore, it is so bizarre. Like, one day, I'm sitting it was our first day, and we got on board, and one ship came in the day we were embarking. They were there just for a couple hours, and I'm sitting on my balcony. I'm like, "Oh, this is great. I love this. I'm relaxed." This ship comes right up, and the guy is sitting on his, like, thing, and his wife's on his bed, and we're like, "Hey!" Like, I'm telling you,
oh
they
my
were, like,
gosh.
close to us, and then they come. right through our lobby to get to the, and that's just how it is. It's totally different. But no, to answer your question, you can't get sick on a riverboat. There is no, they're long and they're only 3 decks high. And the funniest thing, I have to tell you, you have a film going when you first embark about muster drill.
Mhm.
You have to, if they call an emergency, they explain this to you. You go to the sun deck, and Rebecca will show you a picture of the sun deck. You find the person holding the number of your deck, and I was on deck 3. The sun deck is right above my head. And they give you your life jacket, and you have to jump over and swim to the shore. Because remember, you're on a riverboat, so maybe you have to float 10 feet. I'm like, so there's no lifeboats?
What? I never thought about that. That is crazy.
But if you think
Okay, well,
about it, I was like
swimming lessons would be
stunned.
good.
I was stunned. But they're like, we can assist you if you don't know how to swim, but the life jackets will hold you up and you just have to swim right there. And if you think about it, you're really never you're never far from land. There's land on this side of
Yeah.
you, there's land on that side of you. I
Yes.
was just laughing. I'm
So
like,
yeah,
so I would rather get the lifeboat and jump from my balcony then because it's lower than yeah, I don't
good point. Fair point. Fair point. Oh
but
my
that was
gosh. That
funny. I just
yeah,
remembered that as we were talking.
that's
Because that was days
awesome.
ago, like, that was the first day, but that was we just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, "In an emergency,
Yes.
go to the sun deck and prepare to jump and swim to shore." But
Wow. Okay, well, I'm glad that they have an emergency plan in case anything happens. I know Disney's number one priority is safety, but it sounds like you do not have to worry about any
no,
sort
you're
of
totally
turbulence
safe. There's
or
no
motion
turbulent water,
sickness.
you're not gonna get motion sickness at all. That's just
Oh my
another that
gosh,
was our favorite booth. It was just comfortable.
so beautiful.
That's the
These are
entry
definitely
that's walking into the main dining room. So nobody seats you, you just go in and sit.
so is this the only place to eat on board, or are there other places if you wanted to have a snack or something like that?
This isn't Disney Cruise Line. So this is open for breakfast. If there's a lunch served on board because you'll be back on the ship, this will be open for lunch and this is for dinner. There was a specialty restaurant on the back of the ship. You could eat there once so that everybody had a chance to eat there. It was a 7-course meal. It was delicious. So you just had to tell them what night you want to go. And it was just so everybody could go. It had like 6 tables in there. So 7-course meal there. It was the
Wow.
best meal ever. Um, and then up in the lounge, that's where they would have the junior adventurers have their chicken nuggets and stuff. That was where junior
Got it.
adventurers would eat dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. This sounds like
No
the
snackies.
Apollo experience. Yeah, but I mean the level of the quality. Was the food good outside of the
It was
specialty dining? Was the
it was really good. They do a lot what they're doing is they're giving you the flavors of where you are. So, we went through
Ooh,
4 countries in the 7 nights, and, spent more time in Germany, so I had a lot of offerings of schnitzels and German sausage, and I didn't enjoy that, so I had a lot of chicken nuggies because I just don't
yeah,
like pork. But they had things for me to eat. It's just the food was
good.
really good, I just don't like that kind of food. So, they had
Okay,
things for me to eat, though.
good to know. And I know we'll get the question about allergies. Are they able to accommodate allergies on board just like Disney Cruise Line?
Yes, because unbeknownst to me, they eat a lot of eggplant there, and I'm allergic to eggplant, so they took care of me on that too. So,
Oh,
yes, they
love
do take
that.
care of allergies.
Disney thinks of
Mhm.
everything. Oh, this looks cozy.
So this is the front end of the sun deck, and what you're looking at, that white area back here, that is the bridge.
Oh,
That is where the Captain Hank steers the ship. So this is where you would have to jump from. This is the front end of it. Um, I took a picture of the back end of it. So this is a very cozy place. A lot of the adults would come sit here and watch the sunrises and sunsets. This is more toward the back.
very
In the
nice.
back area, that's a very private area. That's where Alfonso and his family kind of sat for most of it, especially when we did the castle tour, which was like miles and miles of castles to our right and our left. So the captain gave us a spiel as it was all day, all afternoon. And we had a map
Wow.
at each mile marker of each castle. And I kept saying the only thing we're missing is dragons because I'm a big House of Dragon Game of Thrones fan. And that's what it was like. Just stone castle, stone castle. And we were getting this amazing tour.
Man, that is so cool to think about. I feel, I've heard about all sorts of castles, but to see them that close. And
Oh, and they're
speaking of
so
how,
old.
oh, I can imagine. But I was going to ask, how were the port adventures? Was there a good amount of variety in what you guys were doing? Were they accessible for people? Could kids do them? Let's talk a little bit about those.
Totally. So each stop we had a lot of ABC choices in the afternoon and the mornings. Some were for families with kids. So there was an amusement park at our first stop in Stroudsburg. Um, there was an alpine slide. I did that, followed by a tour of an ancient old city where we saw one of the oldest farms and had schnitzel. Oh, so much schnitzel, I can't even.
Yes.
And I bought my cuckoo clock there. Um,
Ooh,
so you like it really was amazing. There were wine tasting. There were so many I can't even remember. Every city we went to, there was something amazing to do. And if you had, and not only were they for all ages and something for each age group to pick that they would enjoy. But let's say it was for everybody. So there's some of these things everybody went to. So when the whole ship went to Heidelberg Castle, when they broke the groups up, remember there was 5 adventure guides, which means they could split us into groups of 5. That was 5 paddles of power. They made sure to keep the people with families and young kids together, and they tried to keep the adults together so that those groups
very
could move
cool.
at those paces. So they're very in tune to, you know, how a group would move. They
Yeah.
kept me with like the more elderly, like if they felt like they were, and I say that because, some of us move slower. Some of
Yeah.
us, they knew would take more time to climb up sets of steps, or we might need help getting up steps. And that's how they group you. It's like they move people
Yeah.
and they make sure you're comfortable.
That's very cool. And where did that question just go? Somebody's asking, do you have to go on all of them?
No,
This
you
is
could choose to stay on the ship. Absolutely. There were people who stayed back.
awesome. Okay, good to
Absolutely.
know.
You
So you
don't
have
have to
the
do anything.
option. Oh, love that. One of the best parts of cruising, in my opinion. And someone else is asking, did you bring US dollars or did you go to a currency exchange?
We exchanged our currency, and that's the beautiful thing about Adventures by Disney. You get a handbook, and in the
Oh,
handbook, it tells you what kind of currency you're going to need on this trip because you're going through 4 countries. And luckily for us, the only country that took something different was Switzerland. And since we were only there for the pre-cruise night and we were sailing out of Switzerland, we decided not to exchange cash. We just used our credit card. All we needed was euros. So we exchanged money here in the US. It was a better exchange rate to do it that way. And when we went to Sicily, we did the same thing. We exchanged here. But Adventures by Disney tells you exactly what you'll need in each country that you go to so that you're prepared. And they do tell you to go to the bank here and do your exchange. And you can exchange over there as well.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. If you need a little bit more spending money, that is good to know. Now, what is this? What are we looking at?
That, okay. So here's another difference. Remember, the ship is not part of the destination. It is your way to get to the destination. That is the pool. And the 4 stools is actually the swim up bar. So that umbrella, they have like beer and wine and mixed drinks. This was the first day we were there, so it wasn't open. But yes, that is the pool. And it was overtaken by kids 9 times out of 10. And my room was right underneath the chessboard, which is in the slide coming up. But that is, there it is. Okay. So this basket that you see is where the towels are for the pool. And this is part of the sun deck. So this is walking backwards on the ship. This is walking aft. So yes, that's the towels. The pool is behind there. That chessboard, when the kids were playing chess late at night and dropping the chess pieces, it sounded like in my stateroom that something was going to fall through the stateroom, like the ceiling. But this is where they wanted you to jump into the river, by the way, in the event of an emergency.
In the event of an emergency. Oh my goodness. Okay, so good to know. Don't book a room right underneath the activity area, especially if there's
now,
a
I have to
chessboard.
say, unless it's an adult-only cruise, now I have to say that these are the suites. I was in a suite. So the 4 suites are right under that. There's 4 suites on these ships, and they're right under that chessboard. Now, it does get quiet. Now, I'm an early to bed person, so if you are not, you're probably okay. For me, 9, 10 o'clock, I'm in bed. It was quiet, probably by 10:30. So the running track,
Got it.
if
Good
you're
to
a
know.
runner, you can see that running track over there behind it. So it's a very long ship. They are called long ships. They're very interesting. You'll
So there's
you'll see a
ways to
picture
stay
of it.
active. Oh, yes, I can pop over. Oh, that's nice. They have little loungers. You
Yeah.
can sit
So
with
you
a
have
beverage and just
loungers.
enjoy.
Yes, and they do come up and they ask if you want drinks, anything you want. And they do have tea time where they make you cute little tea sandwiches, like cucumber sandwiches. Like that's their idea of a snack. You won't find chicken nuggies, pizza, ice cream. It's not like Deck 11 at all. It's very frou-frou. I called it frou-frou. They'll come up with the cookies.
It feels very posh. Very posh.
It's so posh. And I was just at one point like, "Can I have an ice cream cone?" They're like, "No, we don't have those." They're like, "I can get you some gelato." I'm like, "No." So that's
Not the
another view of
same.
the pool. Pool facing forward of the ship.
Man. Oh, and you can see that's the bridge up there. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So if your
Yes.
kids are wanting to swim the whole time, maybe consider a water park or a Disney cruise
You're
or
not really on the ship that often. Honest to
well,
God,
that's a
it's
really good
just
point.
the day we were on the ship the most was when we did that sail through to see the castles. And we were so busy watching that, we weren't really thinking of the pool. There was never a
Good to
time where I was
know.
like, gosh, I want to swim because I was either so in love with what I was seeing and taking pictures and just watching the countryside that the pool wasn't really in my, I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking
That's
about
a
it.
really That is a really good point. If you think about the river cruise purely as your transportation from place to place, and you have all these extras that are included, but you just think about, having to buy plane tickets to every place you're stopping to and hotels on top of that. I mean, you're probably saving
Right.
so much money doing the river cruise. So, um, I that's a really good point. It is not a Disney cruise. You're not booking it for the ship. You're booking it for the
Correct.
experience.
So this is
Ooh,
part of the
coffee.
lounge. So this is like part of the lounge. So they have the cappuccino maker, and for those of you who cruise Disney Cruise Line and Concierge, this should look familiar to you. It's kind of like the same machine. Um, so you have this access 24/7 because they don't have room service. So you can come
Uh,
here. We did have it in the suites. If you're a suite guest, you can have coffee brought to you or breakfast brought to you in your room. If you do not have one of the 4 suites, you can't have anything brought to your room. So, but this is access, and I think I have another picture of the tea selection.
oh,
There it is.
yes.
So they have the teas and the coffees available to you 24/7, right in the entrance to the lounge, which is on deck 2, which is the main entrance to the ship. So you walk on the ship, and that's how you get up to the sun deck. You go out the doors up to the sun deck, you go into the lounge, or you go back to the staterooms, or you go down the steps to the main dining room. You can't get lost on these ships. It's because there's 3 decks.
I I love that. It makes it a little bit more, or a little less intimidating because these cruise ships, I mean, especially some of the new ships are so massive, and I feel like there's that intimidation factor, and this kind of makes it more approachable, if you will. And somebody is asking, are they formal? It seems very fancy compared to DCL. Were you guys in like ball
No,
gowns
I
every
was
night?
not at all. We were so overdressed. When they say casual, they mean casual.
Me
Like,
casual.
I
Love
came
that.
in sundresses thinking that would be casual. People would come in off the tours and go straight to dinner in their shorts and t-shirts, and it was not formal
Good to
at all.
know. Oh,
So
that's
this
awesome.
is the library. So it does have a little library off to the side of the lounge. The curtains are drawn there because it gets really sunny and hot. So they keep the curtains drawn to keep you from dying of heat. So you get to sit there and kind of chillax a little bit, and it's quiet, and there's kind of books over to the side. Not a big library. That is the bar. I'm looking over the piano because there is a piano player with you who plays music during the cocktail hour. And during the cocktail hour, and this is when the adventure guides come and they brief you on the next day's activity, what time, what group has to meet to be prepared to leave the ship. So we call it the
Mhm.
daily briefing, and you have the cocktail hour where the cocktails are free, the piano player's playing, but that is your bar in the lounge. There's your bar. Fully stocked, but that's the bar on the ship in the lounge. My
That is
favorite place,
be
the bar.
okay. It is absolutely beautiful. Yes, I
Oh,
was
and the
gonna say it is
Wi-Fi was
stunning.
free.
It's, I mean, absolutely beautiful. So,
The Wi-Fi was
oh,
free,
good
so I was able to
good
get a
call on
lot of
that
work
one.
done. I
Okay.
was able to bring my computer in, get my work done, have a glass of champagne while I was doing my work, while my husband was taking a
Yes.
shower, and then I would go back, take my shower, and then we'd all meet in the lounge again.
So fun. Okay. So it seems like it's so easy. They've taken the guesswork out of the whole experience. So you can just totally go with the flow for the
Oh,
entire
yeah, no
time that you're
stress.
here with
No
a whole
muss, no
bunch of
fuss.
adventure.
Another cozy
Love
picture of
that.
the lounge, and all those windows go floor to ceiling, so you have a full view, and you could see the river there. It's like glass.
Yes. It's right there. You could see land very clearly. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And somebody's asking, can you carry wine on board like with the Disney cruise? It doesn't sound like you have to, right?
You can't, they actually tell you to. So you could be with your adventure guides,
Oh,
and they're like, buy a bottle of wine here and bring it up to the sun deck so that we could talk about the day. They
Wow, that's
encourage you to bring
awesome.
that. They have no problem with that.
Okay.
Just not they don't want you to bring
Point.
vodka back on board.
Yeah, that is a point for a big point for Adventures by Disney River
We
Cruises, let me tell you.
So this is us boarding our first day. That's Captain Hank standing there like this over the rail. It's so casual. He's just like this. And again, it's so taken
Yeah,
care,
just
like,
hanging out.
he's just hanging out. They picked us up at our pre-stay hotel and they took us here. You had two choices of what bus you wanted to get on, the 12 o'clock or the 3 o'clock. I was like, just take me at 12, and you just walk on the ship. It was that easy. There was no port arrival time. There was no group number. You got off the bus and there was Captain Hank. Literally, he stood there like,
Just
and that's what it looks like.
wow.
And there you go, right into deck two. It was amazing.
Gosh, so
Amalucia.
this up here, this is the top of the river cruise.
That's the sun
That's the
deck.
top.
Yep, that's the sun
Wow.
deck.
Okay, love that. And you mentioned transfers from the hotel, so are those also included?
Included.
Awesome. Love
That's
that.
just
Oh
a
my gosh,
further
that's
back
the whole thing,
picture.
isn't it?
Nope, there's another
Oh,
picture that I'll show. There's the whole thing. That was me getting a picture of
okay.
the back end.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, that is so there's shaded spots up top. They've got umbrellas. How was the weather when you guys were there? Was this a good time to go on a
We
river
had
cruise, you think?
perfect weather. It was warm. It's summertime there. It was very warm. It was perfect weather. It didn't really rain. And we had a couple sprinkles while we were sailing, and we were just like, who cares? It's not like it got, it just
Yes.
rained.
None of that.
That's what it looked like
Wow.
when we were crossing the bridge. They said, "There's your ship. Look to the right." And I was like, "Oh my God, is that really the ship?" Like, you see it in pictures, but when you get close to it and you look at it and you're like, "Wow, that's why they're called small ships." But you
Yes.
just can't until you actually are standing there near it, you don't envision it. But I
Yeah.
loved it because it it was everything it was supposed to be. It was awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic, and I mean, looking at it reminds me of that old school snake game, but I think, the fact that you can't see it from miles away, I'm thinking about when you're taking the DCL transfers and, they're like, "Oh, you can see the ship off to the left, and you can see the big
Oh,
funnels
you see
from miles and
the
miles away."
funnels and you're like,
Yeah.
"What?" Yeah. This to me
Yes, this is
speaks
so different, but
intimate and exactly what it's for. You're going to see historic places. When you
yeah,
and my husband says it all the time when you go to Europe, but when you are in the United States and you go see something old, you're like, "Wow, that's old." But you don't know what old is until you are walking through Europe, and they're like, "This was in the 1500s." Like, you just this was,
so
like,
amazing. It's just
Greek. This is still standing from
yeah,
before, like,
eons ago.
eons ago. That's old, and that's what this vessel takes you to see, and, it's just it left me speechless. It Now I can tell you, you see the big windows? So, though
Guys,
that's the lounge, and underneath is the dining room, and if you go backwards where you could barely see windows in the back,
with this guy.
on the bottom of
Yeah,
the ship, those are windows for staterooms. I don't know that I would do that on deck 1.
got it.
I would
Okay.
try to do deck 2 to have at least a bigger window.
Yeah, good to
Valerie,
know.
port adventures are included. Um, I'm seeing a question here. Port adventures are
Yeah.
included. It's not extra. It's included in the price. So a lot of people think that, they look at an Adventure by Disney cost, and this is across the whole Adventure by Disney portfolio. You look at the
Yeah.
price per person and you go, what? It shouldn't blow your mind because it includes everything. It includes most of your meals. I mean, some of them you want to go explore and you want to buy a meal in an old city. Um, so yeah, you
Yeah.
want to spend a little money on your food, but all Adventures by Disney include so much that the price, five-star hotels, in the case of the river cruise, your port adventures, your food, your gratuities, it it's really not as
Yeah.
expensive as it looks. You just have to look at the value and what you're getting for it. Um, I loved every second of it.
And that is coming from
There
an avid Disney cruiser.
Yes, and I have to say, for personal reasons, it was a hard emotional journey for me. The places that I went and the things that were pointed out to me, I cried half of this river cruise. It was a difficult journey for this girl to go through these places. Um, the history of Germany isn't so old. These things that made me
Yeah.
cry and things that they pointed out, the pictures I took, the things I experienced, and what Adventures by Disney did for me. Um, I'll tell you, somebody asked if you have to do everything Adventures by Disney has. The answer is no. If there's something you need to do for yourself, or if you just need to find something on your own, or just want to stay on the ship, it's fine. But an example is we went to Amsterdam. What wasn't a port adventure, an excursion, they call them, an offering was Anne Frank House. Now, for me, that was huge. It is something I needed to see for myself since I was a little girl in Hebrew school, as my rabbi was a Holocaust survivor. Germany is a very difficult thing for me and my family, not gonna lie. So going through Germany was not gonna be easy. Um, we got to Amsterdam and the day before we got to Amsterdam, I looked at one of my adventure guides and I said, I really need to go to the Anne Frank house. Is there any way I can go to the Anne Frank house? And he looked at me and went, those that really sells out. Um, I don't know. I don't know that you can get tickets, but give me a little while. Maybe we can get you in. I know a ticket site. Let me see if we can find you tickets. I'm like, I don't care if I miss I don't need to go to an art museum. I'll find my way. He goes, don't worry about it. He came back to me at dinner that night and he goes, we got you tickets. What you're going to do is you're going to get on the sightseeing boat with us in Amsterdam. You're going to go with the group that goes to this museum. I forget which one it was. And when you get to that museum, you're going to go here. And he gave me the map. And he goes, you're just going to walk to the Anne Frank house. And then you're going to Uber back to the boat. And you'll make it for your afternoon excursion. They found me tickets because it's Adventures by Disney. Because he knew it
Yes.
was important to me. So these are the little things that Disney does. So when I tell you, take the trip and do what you need to do. And if it's something you need to do it because they'll make it happen. I cried my eyes out. It took me, I swear, I
Yeah.
came out of that museum. I stood there in the street. I was like, I know we have to
Yes.
take an Uber back to the ship for lunch. I'm not hungry. I need to stand here.
Mhm.
And I just stood there. I couldn't move. It was just so emotional. So yeah, Europe has a lot of history. I think everybody needs to go there.
Yeah,
That's my side note.
I agree. But I mean,
Especially
that
these
above and beyond
days.
service that you're getting, yeah, you're just You're getting so much with Disney, and, I've heard about Adventures by Disney having exclusive access to things that other people don't have, the general public doesn't have, but because it's Disney and Disney is the entity that it is, it's got connections everywhere, and it's able to provide such exclusive experiences for Adventures by Disney guests, and all the excursions on Disney Cruise Line, they've got some great ones. You can go and you can snorkel or you can see the ruins. And Laura, you correct me if I'm wrong because I haven't done a river cruise, but it just sounds like if you want to experience the place, if you're not just here to stop for a couple hours and go see the sea turtles, if you really want to appreciate the culture of where you are, if that is what gets you excited about vacation, talk to Laura and get on an Adventures by Disney experience. Especially, it sounds like these river cruises are just great.
Well, it's nice because the ships are there for longer, but you're being even if the ship's there for a short period of time, you have the guides are coming in, it's their specialty, and sometimes you'll see that guide in the next city because they know something more about that city, and if they don't know the answer, they'll go and they'll find that answer for you, but they're gonna give you the history and the reason, and they're gonna tell you everything it is that you need to know about that cathedral you're looking at, um, or wherever they're taking you. It is you are so immersed, and there's so many places that you can go. Um, opted for the land tour in Central Europe in May instead of the Danube River cruise because it's the Sound of Music experience where they're gonna
Oh,
take
so
us to
fun.
where they filmed a lot of it, and on the bus, before you get to these places, you do a sing-along watching the movie. To me, this is my dream. I am so gonna be in that gazebo doing the six times
Sold.
16 dance, like, this to me is
Yes.
everything, and could I have done it on the Danube River cruise? Absolutely, but I think I want more time on land, but I could make that decision because they give me both options. I'm
Oh,
kind of
that's so
teetering
nice.
because I kinda like the idea of unpacking once.
Yeah. I think maybe you do both, and then you can report back on
I
A
might.
or B. I mean, why not?
I
It's basically
might.
back to back, right?
Uh, you never know. You know I've done crazy things, so I don't know, maybe
I
I'll do both. But I do have
I
to
fully
say
support it.
that river cruising gets 2 thumbs up from me. If I had more thumbs, I'd give it more
And that's
thumbs.
I'm totally stealing that line. I love that. But I think, if you don't know Laura, she gets on a Disney cruise as much as she possibly can. I mean, she moved as close as she could to the port. So she loves Disney Cruise Line with her whole heart. And for an experience like a river cruise to get that glowing of a review, that holds a lot of weight. So if you are ready to talk about Adventures by Disney, talk about a river cruise, maybe you're trying to figure out this sounds great, but so does a Disney cruise. Get on Laura's calendar, book a 10-minute call, just send her an email and talk through what does your family like? What do your kids like to do? What do you like to do? Is accessibility something that you need to keep in mind? Where are you flying from? There are so many factors to the vacation planning puzzle. And Laura's actually been there. She's traveled. She's done multiple adventures by Disney. She's done, I don't even know how many Disney cruises at this point, but a lot. And she can help you make that decision so that you're not trying to guess and do this all on your own. So that is the link to her page on the DCL community site. And again, her planning services are totally free for you to utilize. So reach out to her and let her help you plan the most perfect vacation on land, on the sea, on the river.
See,
Whether you're
anywhere.
going on 16 or 17, Laura can help you. Or you might have to be a
I'm
little bit
gonna
older to actually put the deposit down, but that's okay.
That is true. We
Yeah,
need
yeah,
you to
yeah.
be 21 to put the deposit down. But
Details.
or maybe it's 18, but you have to be 21 to be in the stateroom, so I need you to be 21.
Yeah. Okay. We'll start with 21. But if you are interested, please reach out to Laura. She is here to help. Laura, thank you so much for sharing your vacation with us. I still
You're
can't believe
very
you got
welcome.
to cruise with Carlton. When I saw that picture, I was like, oh, famous person on the cruise. That's
I
so,
can't even
so
do that
cool.
dance. My husband can do it. I don't know.
Oh, there was some Disney cruise director. I don't remember. Maybe it was Clayton, and he used to do that
Clayton.
dance.
Clayton.
Clayton,
Clayton.
the best. Oh
Vacation
my gosh,
dance.
so good. He was so good, and he used to do that, and man, we could spend all night talking about Disney Cruise Line too. But if you want to start planning your cruise, reach out, whether River or Disney, reach out to Laura, let her help you. Laura, thank you again for hanging out, and we will see all y'all on board real soon. Bye, guys.
Good night.